Hello, lovelies. Welcome to Nut Formula. My name's Freedom. Thank you for joining me. Tonight's episode, I'm wanting to talk about why you don't hear from the narcissist. So, radio silence. Slightly different from ghosting, but you haven't heard from the narcissist. They are not hoovering you. They're not texting you. They're not calling you. They're not sending around their flying monkeys. So you may be wondering what's going on. So I'm going to tell you the top 4 reasons that you may be experiencing this radio silence. But before I do, can I just remind you guys, if you like my videos, please remember to like them, subscribe to the channel, leave comments, and also help me grow the channel by sharing on other social media platforms would be awesome. All right, so let's get into it. So a lot of this depends on what stage you are at. This is another thing you've got to remember. So ghosting is a little bit different. It's kind of something they do, when you're kind of in the situationship with them. So let's just say that this is post the discard or the escape. So you're narc free. You're out there in the world living your awesome narc free life. So the first reason that you wouldn't be hearing from the narcissist is that they have no need for you. So they've obviously got themselves new supply. And usually if you're not hearing from them, not only have they got new supply, but they've got new supply lined up as well. So they've actually got supply and enough extra fuel, and supply going on in the background behind the new supplier's back usually, to not need you. And just remember this, narcissists are creatures of habit. They are also very self-serving. So if they need something from you, they would be there. They would be hoovering. So if you're not hearing from them, that may be the reason that they're preoccupied and they're getting all this their fuel and their fuel supplies serviced by other appliances. All right, so number 2 is narc injury. So if you have been living an awesome narc-free life and you have kind of picked yourself up and dusted yourself off and gotten on with life, that in itself will have created huge narc injury. That's not how the discard or the escape. I mean, first of all, you're never supposed to escape. In their mind, you are not supposed to leave them. You are supposed to stay. And even when they discard you, you are still not supposed to move on from them. They want you to be taking your punishment, sucking it up, and waiting for them. So if you've moved on and if you've started, a narc-free life without them, that will have created a narcissistic injury. And so quite literally, they could be sulking, but hurt, off there sulking, feeling sorry for themselves. And, they don't want to show you that. Yeah, so especially if you've got your mojo back, and hopefully if you've, gotten narc free, you will. You're supposed to be devastated, you're supposed to be heartbroken, you're supposed to be destroyed without them. You're supposed to be lost, and you're supposed to be begging and pleading for them to come back, even if they've got new supply. They still want you to want them. They still want you to beg for them. Because it's all part of their big, their big grand scheme where they are, the center of the universe and everything rotates around them and you only exist when you are serving them. See, in their mind, it's almost like, they've shelved you. So they put you up on a shelf. They've forgotten about you like a toy, a once loved, well, narcissists don't love, but a once well played with toy that they've now put on the shelf and kind of forgotten about. And they forget that you actually have a life and you do other things with the people, and that you move on. They forget about that. In their mind, you don't really exist until you're with them or until they think about you. That's the only time that you actually exist to them. So, when you've separated, you're not supposed to be getting well, getting happy, getting strong without them. That goes against everything that they believe, that, that you are here to service them. So, yes, this affects their sense of omnipotence, their godlikeness. All right, so number 3. So what's the point? So if they know that you're done, if, just for example, just say you're doing no contact like a boss, right? And every time he's hoovered you, you've done the right thing. Those are like little mini battles of will. What, from an outsider, like if you didn't know about narcissism and you just, read the text messages, or, you heard snippets of conversation or whatever, you wouldn't understand. You might just think, oh, that was really insignificant, but it's not. None of the communication that they have with us is insignificant. It's all a test. It's all about, are you still willing to take my phone calls? Are you still willing to listen to me? Will you still return my calls? Will you still jump when I say jump? What can I get you to do? Do you still care about how I feel? This is the stuff that takes place in hoovering, in text messages, in, phone calls with a narcissist. Like I said, none of it's random. It all has a lot more significance and meaning than people realize. So if you've been doing the right thing and you've been not taking their calls, not returning their messages, not speaking to them, if you've gone no contact, so they're going to be starting to get the message, And, people often say, when is it over with the narcissist? Well, it's over when we say it's over. Because if you've got any energy for them, if you've got any space in your heart, in your life, in your head, and in your bed for them, believe me, they will manage to wiggle worm their way back in. Okay, because they know exactly how to work you. They know how to trigger you. They know exactly what your weaknesses are. They are creatures of habit. They have sussed you out. They know you better than you know yourself. Okay, they've spent that long watching you. So when you are starting to really get over them, they pick up on that. So, if they're not contacting you, it may actually be because they're starting to get the hint. They're starting to realize that, that you've moved on, that you've gotten away, and that you are not going to take them back today or ever. And maybe it's just because you've educated yourself on narcissism, and they're becoming aware of that. Or maybe you've started a channel on YouTube and exposed their fake and predatory behavior for the whole world to see. That stuff causes a narc injury. Best believe it causes a narc injury. Can you imagine the rage and humiliation that a narcissist would feel if someone was doing that? And also, I wanted to just make a quick point about this before I go into the final point, point 4. I just want you to think about this. Grade A supply, right? Narcs don't just walk away from grade A supply. Okay, they know how rare it actually is. I mean, there's lots of supply in the world. There's no doubt about that. But grade A supply is different and it's rare. And to find, grade A supply that is, your taste, your style, whatever, that is not easy to find. So they they see us as being their possessions at the best of times, right? So you need to ask yourself, first of all, and be honest to yourself. If you're asking the question, why hasn't he contacted, why isn't he contacting you or hoovering you? Were you grade A supply, or were you just a placeholder? Because if, for example, the relationship only lasts a couple of weeks, couple of months, couple of years, you may have just been a placeholder. So someone that he was using to punish and triangulate his ex, so the woman that came before you, or quite literally just someone who gave him supply, kept him fed, housed, sexed, all the things that narcs kind of look for. But if you were grade A supply, remember this: in his mind, you are his property. And you'll always be his property. So even if you can't see him, he's keeping tabs on you. Even if he's not contacting you, he's keeping tabs on you. And if he does have any, need to come back, so if he runs out of supply, if he runs out of grade A supply, if he's not managing to get enough fuel from all of his different supply sources, all of them combined, then he may double back around, because they do recycle the exes. But if you're standing firm in your no contact and your defiance, if you've gone supernova, that's the term they actually call it. So someone who would start a YouTube channel, for example, that would definitely be someone who's gone supernova. So basically, supernova is just when someone who is an empath, but is kind of still got slight narcissistic traits, as we all do. But someone who's going supernova has kind of just kind of had enough, really. Been pushed too far. So if you're, like me, and you've been pushed too far and you've gone supernova, you've probably done some serious damage to his reputation, to his pillars, his reputation, his self-esteem, his, the way people look at him in the community, this kind of thing, that has struck a huge blow to his construct. So, he's probably quite literally licking his wounds in a corner somewhere, trying to refuel himself to rebuild his construct again. So to build up his fake persona. It takes a lot of energy to battle with, the exes, especially when we've gone supernova. Like, a narcissist really isn't actually, especially the kind of mid-range and lower narcissists, they're not actually, equipped really to deal with a super empath who's gone supernova. So if you are at that point where you've managed to cause a lot of damage to them, where they're not getting any fuel, any supply from you, that's probably why they're staying away, because they think, what's the point? They can't afford to have any more damage done to their self-esteem and their construct. So they're literally rebuilding themselves. They're off in a safe space. It's like, if you imagine like a battlefield, he's it's like a ceasefire. He's off there rebuilding, regathering, regrouping. But best believe, two things are going to happen. Either he's going to come back with another battle plan, if it's gotten to that stage now where it's just, revenge of the roses or whatever that's called, it's just attack for attack, then, he may be replotting and replanning. Or he may also be trying to figure out how he's going to come back into your life, into your reality. So you've got to be ever vigilant. Okay? Do not think for 1 minute that he's not ever going to come back, because, as I said, they do recycle the exes. I have seen it firsthand with my soon-to-be ex-husband, who tried to hoover the woman before me, the one that he was with 15 years ago. So his new supply, things obviously weren't working out too well with her, and so he tried to hoover the ex from before me. This woman literally hadn't heard from him for 15 years, and he thought he'd give her, a bit of a take her temperature. Take her temperature, see how she was going to respond to him. I mean, she called the police on him, so he got the message loud and clear. But nevertheless, that's the point, is that they can and they will contact you again. So don't ever, relax 100%. Okay. All right, darlings. I think that's it. Just one sec. I just want to quickly check my notes. Yep. All right, yeah, so like I said, if you're a grade A supplier, he'll be keeping tabs on you. No doubt about it. All right, lovelies, thank you for joining me. And just quickly, I'm also going to be releasing a free ebook about narcs and sex. I'm just in the final stages of editing that. So in the next few days or weeks, I'll have some links, and yeah, you guys get your hands on a copy of that. All right, lovelies, thank you for watching, and I'll see you not tomorrow but the next day. Bye.